All right, welcome to the News Unlocked. This week in the Xbox news scene, I think it's starting to quiet down a little bit. Towards the holidays.
No, I looked at the new releases this week. It's bleak.
It's pretty bleak. One good game that I actually totally forgot about, which we'll get to. But first, an unfortunate death to report this week. Ralph Baer, the inventor of effectively the game console itself, passed away at age 92. Now, I will admit, having played video games my whole life, I've heard the name Ralph Baer, but I didn't really know who he was.
Yeah.
Are you guys in the same boat?
For I would say most people, they sort of, in their minds, video games start with Miyamoto. And then go on from there. But it's like, well, no, they've been around for a long time before 85.
Yeah, very long time.
Like 20 years.
Long time. So, Jared, you wrote actually I don't know if I would call it necessarily an obituary, but a wonderful sort of in memoriam piece.
It's a nice tribute.
On IGN. Yeah, wonderful tribute.
I wanted to write like a short little thing that just said, hey, guys, here's why it was important, and if you haven't heard of him before. And Baer was extraordinarily important. You know, our industry is very young. We forget about that sometimes. But
we're not used to people dying.
Exactly. And other than, you think about somebody like Danny Bunton, for example, that died, or, inventor of the Game Boy. My brain just went dead.
Yamauchi?
No. Gosh, he died this year.
Gunpei Yokoi.
Gunpei
Yokoi. Actually, that was a while ago.
Was it? I thought it was
when I was at TGS.
He was killed. No. Gunpei Yokoi was killed in a car accident years ago.
Who died at TGS?
Uh-oh. I don't know who died.
Hopefully
Did
no
you?
one.
Are you a ghost?
Okay, so Marty's
I'm
looking up who's dead. In the meantime, I'm just embarrassed for forgetting Gunpei Yokoi's name. So Ralph Baer.
Here's Marty with who's dead.
Yeah. Ralph Baer is this television engineer, immigrant to the United States, did all kinds of things. Inventor extraordinary, invented everything from voice-activated intercoms to parachute systems. And he liked to work on televisions. He had a degree in that. And he looked at a TV one day, according to his accounts, probably sometime around in the 1950s, and said, what can I do with this besides watch TV? And he got the idea for interacting with the television, that it might be possible to play a game, to take direct control of the image processing and combine that with some kind of logic circuit and make games. And, we take that for granted, but Ralph Baer was one of the first guys to come up with that idea.
Yeah.
And then he did. Now, there are other people who did neat things with screens before that. Willie Higginbotham, he used an oscilloscope to make Tennis for Two, which was kind of a volleyball-type game. And there were a couple other examples early on.
It wasn't a tennis game? It was a volleyball game.
Tennis for Two.
Well,
okay. I would say
my whole life has been a lie.
No, I told her wrong. It's more of a tennis.
It was also a palindrome.
Yeah. Then there was, of course, Steve
Russell. No, it wasn't, Marty.
And the MIT kids that got together and invented Space War on a PDP computer. But again, they were working with a computer. They're like, this is a thing that is inherently interactive. Their whole thing was like, hey, how do we make this do stuff? Ralph Baer looked at a TV, which already had a purpose, and was like, what else I could do with that? And in 1966, he got to work on it in earnest, kind of as a passion project. He made a list of video game genres. Like action games and sports games and educational games and artistic games, and a lot of the ones that make up our genres today. And then he just hardwired this thing and built it. He called it the Brown Box. Later he called it the Skill-O-Vision, which was a cute little play on.
Makes me hungry for some reason.
But it was finally marketed as the Odyssey. Magnavox licensed the thing. He worked for like a defense contractor. And that's where he did the work on this thing. And of course, they had no idea how to sell the thing. So Magnavox marketed it. Magnavox didn't realize what they had. Apparently, they made about 350,000 of them, and it did all kinds of neat stuff. It was cartridge-based. Now, the cartridges weren't ROMs. They actually hit dip switches inside the unit to change the games.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it had wired controllers. Now, he wasn't the only guy to come up with that idea. The MIT kids did that with Space War, too. Got the idea it's really hard to, reach over and touch the console control, so make a little wired controller. And he was like, I think Chris Kohler originally made this point. He was a TV engineer, so he thought vertical, horizontal. So they put vertical, horizontal knobs on it, and that's how you controlled it. It didn't have a joystick or anything. But still, a really neat innovation, and he put all these different games into it. The graphics were so primitive on Odyssey that you had these screen overlays that you stuck to your television set that came in the box.
Like the Call of Duty cheaters do now.
Exactly.
It's come full circle.
I remember in college we used to take Post-it notes and put it over the radars in GoldenEye, so we couldn't see each other.
You can just turn the radars off.
Really?
Yeah. One of the cheats is no radars.
Well, I'm really stupid then.
So
Didn't have access to Nintendo Power that year.
What did Ralph do? What did Mr. Baer do in his later years?
Okay, so yeah, Ralph Baer does this, invents this, and it never took off. He knew what he had, Magnavox didn't, and he just went on and kept inventing things. He loved doing that. The thing you might know him best for beyond Odyssey, you know Simon?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a kid of the 80s.
Yeah, Ralph Baer invented Simon.
No
What?
kidding.
Yeah.
I love
awesome.
that thing.
Yeah, he invented Simon. He invented all kinds of stuff.
He invented Tamagotchis.
No, he did not invent Tamagotchis.
Okay.
That was Bandai. But
Did he invent Tiger handheld gaming consoles?
he did not. Although, well, okay. Did anyone really invent those? Those just dropped from the heavens.
Yeah, right. Those
Yeah.
are like a primordial, just a crack opened up in the earth. It reeked of sulfur, and then one of
Robocop
those
came out.
Yeah.
Yes, bowling.
Best one was Bo Jackson football and baseball that you flipped, like to play both
Yep,
of them.
that's
You had the
awesome.
two
Sports
screens.
star.
That's
Wow.
actually awesome.
My grandparents gave me that for Christmas one year when I wanted a Game Boy. I love you, Grandma.
Oh, man.
But so there's he invented that. He invented like recordable talking electronic children's books and like video cassette interfaces that let you do voice stuff with just all kinds of neat stuff. His whole life, he invented, apparently up to he died at the age of 92, he was still inventing for fun.
That's awesome.
Rad.
So yeah, Baer is we don't know, nobody's ever told what would have happened. But along with Steve Russell and the MIT kids, along with Nolan Bushnell, who really got the idea for how to do an arcade game right, and a few other people, he's one of the true founding fathers of video games, and he did invent the idea of home video game consoles.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
cool dude, and losing him, he's not been in the midst of things for a long time, but these guys matter. Guys, our history is precious, and again, we're just coming into like the end of the silent film
I was
era.
just-
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Like,
just
we owe
about
him
to say that.
everything right now.
Someday there will be a proper. I mean, I'm sure it exists somewhere in some form, but a real like video game museum.
Actually, that's happening.
Good.
I've got some news on that from David Crane and Gary Kitchen, who I had dinner with a few weeks ago before the accident, and informed me that the Video Game Museum Initiative, which has existed for years, is finally getting a home.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, so when I have more news on that, I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to reveal yet, but I can tell you
enough.
that
Keeping
that's
a lot of
happening.
things close to the vest.
So,
Yep,
sorry,
yep,
I'm
yep.
kidding.
Haven't even told us your secrets off the air.
Yes, I have many other secrets.
Also,
as well.
a lot of people have referred to Ralph Baer as the Jay Allard of his time.
Take a shot, fans. Marty just crowbarred one in.
So, guys, learn more about this guy. He wrote a book called Video Games in the Beginning. It's got like his schematics for all this stuff,
Oh,
his patent
man.
applications. You can still build a brown box using his plans if you really want to. And he was also, he made money off of this stuff, but he never became like the entrepreneurial figure that some of the tech whizzes did. Steve Jobs was a good marketing guy, so he got a lot of press. And Nolan Bushnell had a lot of neat ideas, and he became, and Miyamoto, some of these guys became, but he may have profited less directly than some of those guys did, maybe, and certainly became less famous. Because of that, and because of a lot of litigation stuff, sometimes the tone of some of the writing is kind of like, well, really, guys, I did it, and but don't hold that against him. He had a lot of legitimate grievances too. So
Well, rest in peace, Ralph Baer. It passes away at age 92.